The Galactic Council had a system for everything. Classification charts. Threat assessments. Color-coded danger levels that ranged from harmless to extinction event. They'd spent 17,000 cycles perfecting it, and frankly, they were pretty proud of themselves. Then humanity showed up and broke everything. My name is Kelvor, junior analyst for the Threat Assessment Bureau, and I was the idiot who got assigned to Earth. Lucky me, right? I thought it would be easy. Another backwater planet, another species that barely discovered fire. Fill out the forms, stamp it, level 3, proceed with caution, and call it a day, except humans don't fit into boxes. They don't even acknowledge that boxes exist. The first incident happened 3 weeks after we made contact. Captain Reeves, the human representative, sat across from High Commander ClaThey in the pristine white conference room of Station Alpha. Standard First Contact Protocol. Exchange pleasantries. Share technological data. Establish trade routes. Boring stuff that usually takes months. Reeves got it done in 47 minutes. So, Reeves said, leaning back in her chair with this terrifying smile, you folks classify species by threat level? ClaThey nodded, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Indeed. It helps us maintain order across the galaxy. Prevents misunderstandings. What level are we? I checked my data pad. Humans had tested at level 6, just below apex predators like the Kryn or the Vathek Swarm. Dangerous, yes, but manageable. I started to relay this information when Reeves interrupted. Let me guess. Somewhere in the middle? Maybe a 6 or 7? ClaThey shifted uncomfortably. The exact classification is still being finalized. Right. Reeves drummed her fingers on the table. Each tap sounded like a countdown. Here's the thing, Commander. We've been watching you guys for about 3 years now. Ever since your scout ship started poking around Jupiter. Nice ships, by the way. Very sleek. The room went silent. Dead silent. The kind of silence that happens right before something catastrophic. You've been observing us? ClaThey barely whispered the words. Oh yeah. Your stealth tech is pretty good, but you're broadcasting radio signals like a teenager at a concert. We cracked your encryption in, what was it? She glanced at the human beside her, a shorter man named Parks. 18 hours, Parks confirmed. 18 hours, Reeves repeated. Look, we're not mad about it. Honestly, we'd do the same thing. But here's what I'm curious about. She leaned forward, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. What's above apex? ClaThey blinked all 6 eyes simultaneously. I'm sorry. Your classification system. You've got levels 1 through 10, right? With 10 being apex predators. Species so dangerous they require constant monitoring. But what happens when you find something worse? There is nothing worse, I blurted out before I could stop myself. Apex is the highest designation. It's mathematically impossible to exceed it. Reeves turned those cold blue eyes on me. Kelvor, right? Junior analyst? How did she know my name? I hadn't introduced myself. I nodded slowly. Kelvor, let me tell you about Earth. We've got these things called honey badgers. Nasty little creatures, weigh maybe 30 pounds soaking wet. They'll fight anything. Lions. Hyenas. Venomous snakes. They don't care. They're too stupid to know when they're outmatched, so they just keep fighting until something dies. Usually not them. Fascinating, ClaThey said, though he didn't sound fascinated at all. But I fail to see the relevance. Humans are the honey badgers of the galaxy, Commander. Except we're not stupid. We know exactly when we're outmatched. We just don't care. Parks pulled up a holographic display. Images flickered to life above the table. Historical data from Earth. Wars. Disasters. Survival against impossible odds. We've fought ourselves for thousands of years, Reeves continued. Weapons that could crack continents. Diseases that killed millions. We survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and our own stupidity. We split the atom just to see what would happen, then used it as a weapon. We went to our moon before we invented proper computers. We sent robots to other planets before we figured out world peace. The images kept coming. Faster now. Nuclear explosions. Space stations. Genetic engineering. Artificial intelligence. You want to classify us? Reeves stood up. Fine. But understand this. We didn't climb to the top of Earth's food chain through strength or speed. We did it through sheer stubbornness and spite. We're the species that looked at the apex predator and said, I bet I can ride that thing. Then we domesticated it. Thales was pale now, his skin shifting from healthy purple to sickly gray. So I'll ask again, Reeves said quietly. What's above apex? That's when the alarm started blaring, the entire station shuddered. Red emergency lights bathed the conference room in blood-colored shadows, and somewhere deep in the lower decks, something exploded with enough force to rattle my teeth. Report. Thales shouted into his communicator, the response came through garbled with static and panic. Vathek Swarm. They've breached the outer hull. Multiple ships, at least 40 confirmed. They're demanding we surrender the station. The Vathek Swarm. Level 10 apex predators. Insectoid nightmares that strip entire planets clean in days. They'd been quiet for decades, contained in their sector through careful diplomacy and the constant threat of total war. And now they were here, at our peaceful first contact station, probably because they'd heard about the humans and wanted first crack at the new species that I was going to die. We were all going to die. Standard protocol said evacuate to the core chambers and wait for the fleet. Except the fleet was 6 hours away and the Vathek could tear through our defenses in 20 minutes, Reeves checked her watch. An actual mechanical watch, like some kind of antique collector. Well, she said calmly, that's inconvenient. Inconvenient? I nearly screamed the word. Those are Vathek. They eat people. So I've read. She tapped her communicator. Parks, how many people we got on the civilian transport? 43 crew, plus the diplomatic team. Why? Reeves grinned. Actually grinned, while death incarnate tore through the station's outer sections. Tell them to suit up. We're going hunting. Absolutely not. Thales found his voice. This is a council station. We have protocols. We don't just attack apex predators with a civilian transport ship. You don't, Reeves agreed. But we're not you. Parks, you still got those mining charges we brought for the asteroid demonstration? Yes, ma'am. 50 kilotons worth. Perfect. Load them up. Kelvor, you're with me. I am absolutely not with you. I backed toward the door. I'm a junior analyst. I classify things. I don't fight level 10 threats. Reeves grabbed my arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. Exactly. You know their weaknesses. Their behavioral patterns. What scares them? Nothing scares them. That's why they're apex predators. Wrong answer. She pulled me toward the docking bay. Everything's scared of something. They just haven't met it yet. The next 15 minutes were complete insanity. The human crew moved with this terrifying efficiency, like they'd practiced fighting cosmic horrors every Tuesday. They loaded the mining charges onto magnetic clamps. Sealed the transport's hull breaches with what looked like duct tape. Duct tape. On a spaceship. This will never work, I muttered, strapping into the co-pilot seat. Probably not, Reeves admitted, firing up the engines. But here's a human secret, Kelvor. We've been doing things that will never work for our entire history. Sometimes they don't work. Sometimes they work spectacularly. Either way, it's going to be interesting. The transport launched directly into the swarm. Vathek fighters swarmed around us like angry hornets, their organic weapons spitting acid and plasma. Reeves flew like a maniac, spinning and diving through gaps I couldn't even see. Parks. Music. Suddenly, human music blasted through the ship's external speakers. Something loud and aggressive with heavy drums. The Vathek hesitated, just for a second, confused by this bizarre psychological warfare. That second was enough. Reeves punched the transport straight through their formation, releasing mining charges like deadly party favors. They detonated in sequence, timed perfectly to chain react through the Vathek ships. Explosions bloomed in the void, silent and beautiful and absolutely terrifying. Kelvor. Reeves shouted over the chaos. Tell the Council something for me. What? I was gripping my seat so hard my fingers hurt. Humans don't have a threat level. We are the threat level. You want to classify us? Create a new category. Level 11. Level Chaos. Level, why did we wake them up? I don't care. But understand this. She spun the transport around, heading back toward the station as the last Vathek ships retreated into jump space. We didn't come to the galaxy looking for a fight. But if someone brings one to us, we'll finish it. With mining equipment and duct tape if necessary. The station erupted in cheers as we docked. Thales met us at the airlock, his expression somewhere between horrified and impressed. You defeated a Vathek assault with a civilian transport and industrial explosives, he said slowly. Yep, Reeves replied. That's impossible. Heard that before. She clapped him on the shoulder. So, about that classification? I'm thinking you need a new form. One that doesn't assume you've met the scariest thing in the universe yet. Later, back in my office, I stared at the incident report. Thales had asked me to recommend a final threat classification for humanity. I looked at all the data. The broken expectations. The impossible victory. The sheer audacity of turning mining equipment into weapons. I created a new classification level. Level Omega. Reserved exclusively for species that don't just survive threats but turn them into opportunities. Species that look at impossible odds and say, watch this. I submitted it with one note attached. Recommend extreme caution. Not because humans are hostile. But because they make everyone else's classification system obsolete. 3 days later, the Council approved it unanimously. They also voted to fast-track humanity's application for membership. Apparently, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them before they decide you're boring. Smart choice, if you ask me.